Hey guys, today on Rich with Cars, I bring you 2021 Toyota Supra. Not any normal Supra by any means. This is a fully modified 2021 Supra, which we're gonna dig into. We're gonna do a quick review on the exterior, interior, and we're definitely gonna interview the owner on all the mods that were done on this baby. So strap in and let's take a look. I've been waiting a long time to actually review this 2021 Supra, and I'm very thankful to the owner, which we'll be interviewing later on in this video, to actually take a look at all the mods that were actually done. But to get started, we're gonna do a quick exterior review on the 2021 Supra. And of course, as you will notice, this baby doesn't look like any regular Supra. As you will see, a lot of stuff was done to it, which we will dig into bit by bit. It's got a beautiful stance. So as you probably all know, the Supra originally came out in 2020 and it was revived in collaboration with BMW. A lot of people actually complain at the fact that the Supra is not a true Supra because of the fact that everything under the skin of this car is all BMW parts. Personally, I actually love it. When I first laid my eyes on this baby, I could not keep my eyes off of it, to be honest with you. And I want to get started in the front over here, just to give you guys an idea of what was done to this vehicle. Based on the actual OEM parts, one thing that I love about this Supra are the headlights. Very, very close to what they actually did on the prototype version, and love how they actually did the extended daytime running lights over there. Really, really nice stuff. If you move a little bit lower, we can see that a carbon front lip spoiler was actually added onto this. And you can't deny the fact of how low this thing sits. Of course, there was air suspension added to this, which you will see that this is the park stance over here. We got some tucking action going on over here. Moving on to the side, as you can see here, we got some Titan TD5 or Titan 7 TD5 wheels, which are lightweight wheels, and they're forged as well. I love the actual look of these. They fit really well in terms of the color matching the red. These are actually wrapped in the front by 255s 3519s. In the rear, they're actually wrapped by 275 3519s. A lot of stuff was done to this. So you'll see over here, there's a mirror caps added to here as well. Side skirts are actually coming, but they haven't been installed yet. Just look how low this thing is. It's incredible. I love it. There was also a carbon fiber wrap done to the roof. And as you can see here as well, carbon fiber rear spats that basically attach to the rear diffuser. Really nice touch added to it as well. We have the Street Hunter rear spoiler over here. Love the look of it. It's the one with the carbon fiber rear center in the back, as you can see. The owner also wrapped the actual sides of the wing. And as you've noticed also, he wrapped the side intakes as well. Going back to the rear, we can see that there's been some modifications done on the underside with some HKS full catback exhaust. Really, really nice. And as you can see over here, you see the titanium on the actual tips. Really, really good quality stuff that's been done. Just take a look at this stance over here. Some of the things that a lot of people complain about on the Supra are some of the fake vents. I personally don't mind them, but Toyota actually said that when fabricating this car, that they did this purposefully because they wanted the aftermarket to actually take advantage of those. Some of these include this front air intake over here, the sides on the front bumper, and moving along to the hood as well, we see some closed up vents over here, and then also on the side of the vehicle as well. I don't mind it. A lot of people do, but it gives you the option of doing what you want with it. The interior of the Supra, for me, was actually very surprising. Quite spacious and quite inviting, to be honest with you. Let's not forget, a lot of the actual parts in this interior are straight from BMW. Now, if you've noticed, the steering wheel is definitely not OEM. This is an aftermarket steering wheel, and damn gorgeous, to be honest. So starting off with the door panel over here, we got some leather over here with some soft plastics, and you can see over here we got some gloss black accenting. A lot of the buttons on the vehicle are actually derived from BMW, and you'll definitely recognize the shifter coming from BMW alongside with the actual HVAC controls. Something that's different is the actual gauge cluster as well. We'll take a look at that very soon. The seats are actually quite comfortable, and they're also in leather as well, and they have good bolstering as well, so they're both comfortable and well bolstered to keep you in place. So you can hear some of the actual sounds. Those are actually BMW sounds. And let me just close the door. So the gauge cluster over here is purely from Toyota. Let me turn this down. And taking a look at the metal infotainment system over here, also BMW as well. HVAC controls and radio controls, BMW. I love this center console over here, carbon fiber, very nice. You have a cup holders over here, and you probably did not miss that out, but yes, that's the airlift system. You got the iDrive control over here, or whatever that Toyota calls it, but it's actually an iDrive system as well. Same layout as in a BMW as well. Parking brake, and then you got your park sensor control, traction control off, you got your sport, and then your automatic start stop as well. You got paddle shifters over here behind the steering wheel. They're not column mounted, they're steering wheel mounted, but they're still very nice. So this 2021 Toyota Supra has the infamous BMW B58 engine. It's an inline 6, 3 liter, that's a turbo, pushing 382 horsepower and 368 pounds per foot of torque. We probably all know this already, that there's been dyno tests done on a factory OEM Supra, and they're definitely pushing more than that. You can see over here, we got an HKS air intake, carbon fiber tubing, and there's some more modifications that we'll actually take a look at and discuss with the owner. So we have this Supra's owner right here. Chris, thank you so much for allowing me to review your car. I'm actually very honored. I've been looking at this car ever since I first met you at the rally. It's freaking awesome, and really curious about a few things. So just to get started, you know, what actually led you to actually get this the Supra, by the way?
Well, I think probably the biggest thing was all of my friends and buddies like you that I'd met were doing rallies on the weekends. So my daily's a Q50 Red Sport, which is a lot of fun and a ton of power for a daily driver, but I wanted something a little more sporty and of course a lot nicer to look at. Of course,
I know, absolutely, and it's really nice. So what other cars were you actually considering while taking a look at this one?
So when I had initially looked at kind of a weekend sports car, my first pick was a Nissan GTR. Wanted to go with Godzilla, of course. You know, I think kind of growing up in the import scene, it's always been kind of a dream car. I think sort of unfortunately the timing of it all, the used car market went absolutely ballistic with the GTR.
To say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. So I had looked at Nissan GTRs. I had looked at a couple of like Lexus RCs,
nice.
RCFs.
Yeah.
And then honestly, the Supra I hadn't really considered because it was still on the newer end of the, I think from the platform standpoint, it was still pretty new. And had even when I went over to the dealership, had looked at a C7 Z06 Vet, which is a phenomenal car, ton of horsepower. I just think from physical interior size, I'm about 6'3", so for me, a 6-speed C7 was not anywhere near the room I needed interior, especially with my big feet. And having to manage, you know, a gas pedal, a clutch pedal, and a brake pedal was just going to be too much of a challenge. But once I had the opportunity to drive the Supra, it just blew me away. Honestly, I think from an interior standpoint, some of the refinement things that BMW had done on the interior, and a power to weight ratio, I think, you know, the factory rated 382 or whatever it is, obviously this has got some mods on it. The power to weight ratio at only about 3,200 pounds for this car, it flat out flew.
Yeah,
it's a ton of fun to drive.
Definitely a peppy car, lots of power. As you guys probably know, I got an LC500. This definitely kicks its butt in terms of performance, and I really, you know, Chris actually took me for a drive in it with after he put the air suspension on this car, and I was actually very surprised. You know, speaking of the modifications on the suspension, what other mods have you actually done to this Supra, by the way?
So if you want to just start at the front, you know, all of the sort of the aerodynamics and the aesthetics, the carbon fiber lip. Big fan of the way carbon fiber looks. I think, you know, not only from an aesthetic standpoint, but just kind of adds to the overall shape of this car. The intake is the HKS carbon fiber, has a full HKS titanium exhaust. I did a JV4 piggyback setup.
Okay.
The reason I did the JV4 piggyback was until about a month and a half ago, the ECUs on the 2021s weren't able to be tuned. So from my aspect, it was I wanted a little more performance, but I didn't want to have to you know, try to go the route of adding a bunch of performance without tuning an ECU and potentially causing any harm to the car.
Right.
So this one is currently running, it's a MAP 1 on JB4, which I think is +4 or +5 pounds of boost. And then it's got plenty of pick up and go. Obviously, I haven't gotten in any of the custom tunes or the E-blends yet, but we've got some plans for it in the future.
Nice, sure. Nice. And I noticed you got some nice wheels over there as well.
Yeah, it's the Titan TD6s are really good to look at. I think from a lightweight forged wheel standpoint. Obviously, you're not adding a ton of weight, although I think you know, plans here shortly are going to be adding the 3-piece wheels.
Nice.
But I think that one's more from the majority of this, what this car sees on a weekend basis is more car shows and rallies than it is any sort of drag racing, stuff like that. So for me, it was, I wanted a little bit of balance of both. So kind of the lightweight aspect for the performance, but also something good to look at. And the bronze on the red is just phenomenal. And
I definitely agree with that. When did you end up getting the air suspension on this?
Yeah, so the air ride setup was essentially a birthday Christmas gift to myself in December.
Nice.
As we all know, the supply chain issues are causing some havoc in the aftermarket industry. So it took about 9 weeks to get it here.
Wow.
The company that I used for the air struts is somewhat new to the industry. It's a company called PSI Suspensions. Mm-hmm. And their full air strut setup is actually phenomenal. It's they've got 28-way adjustable top mounts from your strut towers, and then in the rear as well, so I can adjust toe and camber all the way around. And then obviously if I decide to go with wider wheels up front or wider wheels in the back, I can adjust accordingly when I air it out so that it'll tuck just under the lips of the fenders.
That's really awesome.
Which is fantastic. And then the air management system is actually through Airlift, one of the best in the industry.
Yeah, of course.
And the reason I ended up going with the PSI air struts, they have a lifetime warranty. So if there's any issues at any point, at any, you know, down the road, I can obviously contact them. They'll help me out. And I don't think there's many from a customer service standpoint that offers the lifetime warranty. And then Airlift, I believe, is a 10-year warranty on their air management system. So.
Right. Is there a way that we can take a look at there in the back?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Sure. See the full setup?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's, like I said, the Airlift is the management system. It's a 5-gallon tank with dual, I believe they're 495 compressors. The manifold in the middle is obviously the brain unit, kind of the whole thing, making sure it's leveled on all sides, and that way I can control it with the 3P management. And the big black box is a 10-inch sub. That's all part of the audio system additions that I've done as well. I think coming from an 1.5 H&R drop spring with the factory struts to the Airlift setup with the PSI suspension, it's night and day difference. I think from a ride, sort of a comfort level on a day-to-day basis. You know, as much as like when you and I met in St. Pete, when you're doing rallies and talking about a couple 100 miles on a weekend, and really thrashing on it, you want to be comfortable as well.
Of course.
So this kind of gives me the best of both worlds. I can adjust it to the height that I want, as well as giving me that soft comfort mode when I'm around town or in the cities and not feeling every little bump and crack in the road.
And of course, it gives you, like you said before, the benefit of adjustability where in my case, for example, I cannot do that with my LC, and you can actually go over bumps or anything like that at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, like when we were, I just did the Festival of Speed over in St. Pete.
Yep.
I did not have the air suspension on it that day, so they actually had to do like some plywood ramps because.
Oh, they finally did that.
So it was in the grass, yeah. So
oh, man.
In the grass, and you know, getting up into the park is one thing. But you know, if I would have had the air suspension on it, I could have easily just dialed it all the way up and driven right up if I need to, without worrying about damaging exhaust or front lips or anything else.
For sure, for sure. So one last question. What are some of the upcoming mods that you're thinking of actually putting on this?
So I've got a couple of other things planned. Obviously some additional carbon pieces. I've considered a full wrap, not 100% sure if I'm going to go that route. I briefly kind of mentioned I've got a fairly rare set of JDM 3-piece wheels, which are some Leon Hardierits.
Nice.
And they're going to have copper plated faces. I think the copper on the red ought to look really, really nice. And then, ultimately, I think the long-term plan is I'm going to do probably a pure 800 setup. In a full tune. I'd like to get it to where it's about 600 to 650 streetable power.
Nice.
Which should make it plenty dangerous, especially with, you know, some of the guys that we run around with in Lamborghinis and AMGs. But it's a ton of fun right now, and honestly, you know, thank you so much for having me today. It's I think the biggest thing that I've been most amazed at with the Supra, especially the MK5, is the number of looks it gets. I think even when we do car rallies and some of the guys that drive McLarens or Lamborghinis and, you know, AMGs and high-end cars always come over to take a look.
Oh yeah.
I think just the curves of this car are incredibly sexy, and it just adds to sort of the overall aesthetic of this specific Supra.
I definitely agree. I mean, when I first saw it during the rally, I mean, that's the one that actually grabbed my attention the most, to be honest with you. And that's why we actually started talking, because of your car. I mean, I loved it. So, I mean, that's awesome, man. Look, Chris, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. You know, best of luck for the upcoming mods, and enjoy the ride, man. Seriously.
Always. Thank you, man. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this review on this 2021 A90 Toyota Supra. It was really awesome checking out all of the mods on this phenomenal build, and I hope that you guys actually enjoyed it as much as I did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers!